to the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast.
All right. Welcome back. This is a bonus episode of the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast coming at you middle of the week. We got season 3 hot off the presses. I'm not going to ask you how your week in the Warzone is, Cowboy. I'm just going to ask you how hyped you are to talk about what's going on.
Well, you know, I wish you'd asked me how my week in the Warzone was because I'm playing phenomenally right now. I'm just going to throw that out there. Whatever changes were made have certainly helped my gameplay, but what was the question? You got to remind me again. How am I feeling?
Well, let's back up because that's true. Let's talk about ourselves here because we are frying lately. You know, it was like the tail end of season 2 last few days, spiraling into the season 3, which we're going to dive right into. We've been shredding. I've seen it firsthand from you, but I guess we'll get into that. I just wanted to, pat our backs because it's cool.
Yeah, no, I got to pat an amateur's back. I don't know what is going on, and frying's a relative term.
Sizzling.
Yes, we're playing better than we typically do. We're sizzling, we're simmering right now. But no, the week's been good. Yeah, I mean, it's been a wild week. I think that's why we decided to do this midweek podcast. There's obviously so much going on, so many things to follow, so much confusion in many ways for myself about what the hell is actually happening and where are we at. So maybe we should just dive into what's happening.
Yes, indeed. It was a big week. I mean, I think the watershed moment other than launching, obviously, the Warzone, this was it. Like, we witnessed changes of seismic proportions, both big, small, physical, spiritual, metaphysical. But yeah, let's take us through when we last left off, for this saga, because things were evolving day by day here. So the podcast went live Monday. That very same day, Raven released a patch addressing things that we specifically talked about. Namely, they restored the sniper glint for the variable scope. So if you guys are out there, you're still rocking that variable zoom scope, get that shit off there. Unless you're really into that with like the HDR or whatever, recommend the sniper scope instead. That said, they also eliminated the RCXD from the buy station list. So, we said the old loadouts now at the bottom. How you feel about that?
Thank God. That was every game it was an issue. Every game.
And the other thing they did is they nerfed this Psychov, which before I continue on that, we're just going to go ahead and get a correction right out of the way. Kind of embarrassing, but thank you to our listener, True Strike, he identified himself as. It was another tip they left on our Apple reviews page where he pointed out that it's actually the Psychov, not the Skykov. I just added an extra K in there. Nobody's ever corrected me. You went along with it. How do we fucking miss that?
I don't know, and it's nice that he pointed it out, but listen, baby, Apple reviews, come on, send us an email. We don't need to be public forever, you know what I mean? Like, you could just come to us directly with those kind of corrections. We're good for corrections on the podcast, so maybe next time just slip it into our DMs.
I agree with that, but I'm also torn because, we need more reviews, so if you guys are out there, leave us reviews, and then maybe email the tips separate.
Yeah, so thank you. We'll take that. Thank you, but yes.
But, sorry. So anyways, they nerfed the Psychovs because, as we said, the game was fucking broken. We were in a low place last we left off. I mean, anyone who listened could hear the sadness in our voice. So those changes went live. Did you get any experience with that? Did you even know that happened?
Not really. I noticed that the RCXDs got moved away from the bottom of the buy for the loadout, which was nice. The Skykovs, I still definitely was getting killed by. So I didn't really notice that difference all that much. I haven't actually switched my... This is why I like doing the podcast, because I get these updates myself. I still need to switch my variable scope to my sniper scope on my car. But no, didn't really land home all that much. But Monday, this week started after we released the podcast. Obviously, Raven releases the patch notes as we released our podcast. I'm not going to I'm not going to say that they timed it like that, but I'm probably, they're probably out there listening to this. So let's just assume that their social team probably planned the release around our podcast release. With that being said, looking forward through the week, Tuesday and into Wednesday was really about the changes that were coming to the playlist and the maps. And that's where my focus went immediately.
Yes, indeed. Whirlwind few days. I mean, the morning of the big day, which was Wednesday, you could feel the excitement in the air. I mean, between our friends in the chat, people are like, when things are happening, people on the internet, all the streamers were like really hyped up. So, props to Activision for kind of building this up. And last we left off, as we said, we were in a dark place. We were saying, I mean, the title of last episode was this is a pivotal week in the Warzone. We weren't going to go as far as saying make or break, but it was a big week, a lot to deliver, a lot broken in the game.
And a lot of question marks.
100%. A lot of question marks and a lot of people with some exclamation points getting ready to put them out there. That said, Season 3 went live and it ended up unfolding over 2 days. You really got your hands dirty with this one, so I'm going to really let you lead it, but it started off Wednesday morning with this quote-unquote Destruction of Verdansk Part 1. So how was that? Take our listeners through it.
So it started at 12 p.m. noon Pacific time, where I am on the west coast of the United States. And basically, the playlist updated, and all that was left was the Destruction of Verdansk Part 1. So basically, it was like, oh my God, there's this new thing. Of course, we don't need to get in the details of it. There were like server queue fiascos. It was like hard to get into it. Uploading the playlist, like, I don't know what Activision or Raven or whomever is responsible for that, how they do it, but I wouldn't say it was the smoothest thing in the world. And that's kind of a theme that we'll talk about over this 2-day stretch of it, releases in anticipation. But so, Destruction of Verdansk Part 1, boom. I hop in there. I think you were busy with work or something, so I hopped in with a buddy of ours, Scared of Clowns. We get in there, and basically what happens is you drop into the map, and the gas is moving quick. The circle is getting smaller. There's like 100 plus people or whatever. Everybody, essentially, when you die, you turn into a zombie. So, and then as a zombie, you come back each time you die. So basically, the idea is that this is getting taken over by the zombies. Verdansk is completely overrun by zombies, and that's kind of what the Destruction of Verdansk Part 1 was. And it culminates at the end of that. Once everybody turns into a zombie, they nuke Verdansk, boom, cutscene, shows the bomb hitting, it just gets completely destroyed, boom, we go black. And that's the Destruction of Verdansk. And it's, basically a 10-minute kill fest where dead people become zombies, and it ends with this nuke destruction, boom, bam, boom.
How did that feel to see Verdansk nuked before your very eyes?
Well, I think the more important point was there was in anticipation, there was a mojo in the air, like, oh my God, something is happening here. Like, this is, what's going to happen next kind of vibes. I mean, you'd step away from it and be like, what the fuck are they doing? Really? The zombies took over Verdansk? Like, if you didn't consider the actual storytelling of it, it was kind of a fun, exhibition of like, wow, this is totally changing. We're about to see some brand new shit unfolding. So it gave you a lot of hope. And you have to remember at this point, nobody knew what the new map was going to be. Nobody knows what's really coming. There's leaks and stuff like that, but there is no, collective agreement from anybody of what's going to happen. So a nuke on Verdansk, you're basically like, holy shit, there's got to be a new war zone. There's got to be a new place to play, right? So that happens, boom, 3 o'clock rolls around, and I'll just walk you through this. 3 o'clock rolls around, and boom, the playlist updates again. It introduces the Rebirth Island in the dark. And on the horizon line, apparently, I guess I didn't know this. I should have known this. I co-host a podcast about Warzone, but apparently Rebirth is just off of Verdansk. So you can see Verdansk in the distance, and it says 15 minutes after the Destruction of Verdansk or whatever. Off in the distance, a bomb blows up, and you can see it like a giant bomb, and it's like, holy shit, it's kind of like a nuclear winter, like things have gone dark, like, oh man, Rebirth is now kind of in this weird nuclear destructive stage or state, whatever. So you drop in, but the first thing that I noticed about Rebirth Island was that when you drop in, the airstrikes that blow the hole in the roof of the prison and various other places along the map, that doesn't happen. And then I quickly realized, holy shit, Rebirth, actually, there's a new skin on Rebirth. They've built, the construction area is actually a built up building now. It's a like kind of a multi-layer building. There's a couple of other noticeable changes, and the skin just looked different. Like everything was like up to date and nicer, and like it was just different vibes. So I thought, oh man, a skin, interesting. They reskinned Rebirth, and then at 9 o'clock they did season 3 went live, and it was still only Rebirth. Verdansk was not on the table. And basically, yeah, Rebirth was the place to be, and they introduced, there was new guns and new loot, and it was kind of a weird new thing, but it was still with the anticipation of what's going to happen at 12 p.m. Pacific time on Thursday.
Yeah, so that brings us to Thursday, the Judgment Day of all Judgment Days, real Season 3 debuting here with the event starting us off at noon Pacific time was Destruction of Verdansk Part 2. Now, again, I was unable to take part in this, and it looks like I still can't, which is like, fuck. But were you able to play this?
Yes. So basically how this worked is you dropped into Rebirth Island. And again, they like got rid of the rest of the playlist. It's like, boom, they wiped the playlist, and boom, just Destruction of Verdansk Part 2 pops up. You play it. You drop in, and essentially at some point on the map, they drop this nuclear bomb. It's like a juggernaut thing that gets dropped, but it's a nuclear bomb.
It's a detonator.
It's a detonator. Yeah. So you basically can go get it, and at a certain, I didn't ever get it, and I didn't ever unleash it. But once you did that, boom, it like sends the nuke off, and then it sends you into a different gameplay mode where you get sent to the new Verdansk essentially. And this is kind of was the big reveal of what it is. And basically this is where what we're building up to, it's the 1984 version of the Verdansk map.
Yes. So it was a double hander here where you drop into Rebirth. You got to do this basically like capture the flag type thing with the nuclear detonator. Whoever ends up getting it to 100% is able to be the one to destroy Verdansk. You know, send it, put their finger on the fucking button and push it. Blowing up Verdansk, which again, we talked about like, what is the explanation for the time travel? They, at this point, we can definitively say they have not given any sort of explanation for why we are back in the 80s. They showed us a cinematic cutscene, and all that happens after this nuke goes off is they do a like crazy zoom out to space. And then the globe starts winding backwards, and they're like, oh, we're going back to 1984. But it's like, wait, the same fucking characters in the story are going back. And the past affects the future, which also affects the past. Like, this is interstellar fourth dimension bookshelf shit here, you know? Like, you gotta give us a bookshelf or something to hold on to, right?
Yeah, we need like an aha moment, which we are missing. And I believe we said this once or twice. They should have hired Chris Nolan to come in and really nail the storyline down, because it makes zero sense right now.
Yes, but if Mr. Nolan isn't available, you got two strapping young lads here that would be glad to lend their talents, because I am telling you now, we could fucking make some great stuff. But anyways, that's the narrative they're giving us. I mean, I would have even accepted like, oh, the nuclear thing created such immense amounts of power that it, you know, created a rip in the time-space fabric, and they were able to fucking travel through a wormhole. I don't know.
Or they just say in the cutscene, like, listen, the Russians have been developing a time travel machine for years.
Yup, I'll take it.
And then all of a sudden, that's it. That's all you need. And then you're like, okay, well, they can travel in time. Let's go back.
It's a fucking answer. It's a rule. At this point, you know, I don't know. So just wanted to comment there on, you know, the narrative of what's going on here with the story. I know there's a whole thing with this guy Adler's being moved around, and that's fine. You can go with that, but we're just talking about basic, you know, time mechanics.
Yeah, whoa. What's going on with this Adler thing? I don't understand that. It's like another gameplay mode within Warzone or something. It's like a checklist of things. It's like a secondary battle pass. What the fuck is it?
It's a new kind of Easter egg hunt mini game. They've introduced a few of these before where, you know, certain times it was like, oh, find all these crates hidden around. There's one in each area of Verdansk. And then recently during Easter season, there were the Easter boxes. So they introduced this kind of stuff. Right now, yeah, it's a new limited time. I think it's only available this week. If you complete different challenges, then you unlock different things like blueprints and such. So it's for those folks that are, into that shit. By all means, go for it. But like you said, the big fucking news here, not biggest, I guess biggest, but the big news here is the new map, officially official, confirming it, which we speculated from the leaks, is now a 1984 Verdansk. First impressions, go ahead.
Well, wow. First impressions. My first impression is that, wow, it's the same map. Like, it's the same map. They've upgraded certain areas, don't get me wrong, and there's definitely excitement and new places to play and all that, but let's just be clear here. This is the same fucking map. It is Verdansk. They added some green hues, so it's springtime, and they polished off some of the buildings, and they changed a couple of different places, like 3 of them, but it's the same fucking map. That was my initial reaction. When I played it in certain areas, it is different and new, don't get me wrong, and it is exciting. There are new places to go, and we'll get into kind of the different areas, but my first impression was this is the same fucking map. What was your first impression?
I mean, when we first heard the leaks, which I guess in hindsight, they were 100% true. So, salute to whoever the fuck was leaking that. They're legitimate. That when we first heard that this was going to be the case, we trashed it. I hated it. I was sickened by this news. But I gotta say, I don't know if I'm just in a good mood lately or the sunshine's just clearer to me and I'm smelling the roses, but I'm pretty fired up. I'm enjoying it way more than I should. I'm like, oh, look, they did this and oh, it's a new fucking wrinkle. And I think to me, the main areas in terms of how they function and their layout has been fairly tweaked across the board. People are like, oh, it's the same areas, but it's well, not quite. You go to fucking dam and it's no longer an aqueduct, it's a dam, but it completely changes the whole way you approach that area of the map. Again, maybe it's just grass is greener on the other side. This is my first experience. It's new and that's great. And then in a week it's going to wear off and I'm going to be like, fuck this map. That's completely possible. But at this point, obviously I'm not satisfied for the rest of my career. I think that's got to be the priority at this point, is introducing more maps. But for now, I'm really digging it. I love exploring it. I love what it's done for Warzone in terms of that. I'm happy about it. So that's me. That's my fucking Tron thoughts.
You're entitled to Tron thoughts. The thing is, and you kind of touched on this, I think that this will be great for, a couple of weeks. And we have season 3 that went live, which we'll talk about very shortly, I'm sure, which is really exciting with the introduction of new guns, new metas, all this other stuff, the patches. There's a lot to be excited about in the game right now, but setting the map aside from the rest of that, and it's hard to differentiate the excitement for both of those. They're intertwined. But if you look at just the map, what we got, I think that this is going to get old in a month. Once the excitement of the new season wears down, I do not think that this is enough to sustain our huge excitement. And I think that's where there's a letdown. It's I just don't understand why they didn't make a new map. Why didn't they do that?
Well, then that begs the question, what about a new map would you be looking for?
A new layout. I don't know, a different place. Fuck, a different country. Something with water, something with boats, maybe a canal.
Is it the aesthetic, or is it the form, or is it the function here, or is it both? Because I feel like the aesthetic is different. The terrain is fucking different.
It's green. What do you mean it's different? They just added a green grass to it.
The aesthetic is different. All the vehicles and shit are 80s and stuff. That's all aesthetically speaking different. But if you think they're going to invent completely new buildings for every single thing, I don't know. I'm just curious,
what happened to you? Is Activision paying you?
No, man.
You used to be someone that fought for these kinds of things.
I applied for it, but I'm just thinking well, what would I have wanted in a new map? Because I feel like I got enough differentiation here where I am satisfied, but again, short term, to where I'm not just sickened. I thought they were literally just slapping it on and it was 90% different. People are making it sound like that, but I think that's disingenuous. Now, I'm just curious though, what about a new map? You just want different terrain, like a desert thing, or is it more you want more elevation or more building shit?
That would be cool. I don't know. Think about all the different things, like all the different collective little built structures within a metropolis. You can do any of those things like, oh, well, would you have another downtown? Well, yeah, you could redo downtown completely. Oh, would you rather have another superstore? Well, we could have a movie theater. I don't know. You could do fucking anything. You could change it up completely. Oh, you want a different train station? Oh, well, maybe we make it a different style train station where trains are coming in and out. It's fucking crap. You could do so many different things. A prison. Okay, well, let's not make it a coliseum. Maybe we integrate a prison block like the fucking one that's on Rebirth Island. There's you could mix it up more is all I'm saying. And you could rearrange things. And instead of having a square grid, maybe there's a million changes you could make. I was expecting more, to be honest. I mean, I think that I'll give you this because I'm not all negative. If you want to call it a reskin, they did a good job. Don't get me wrong. It's not like they half-assed the reskin, but let's be clear here. It's the same map with a reskin. They've changed some things on the map, but this is not a new map, which everybody agreed would have been the best thing that could have happened. So, yes, the skin is great, but they could have done so much more.
Oh, I mean, I agree. Like I said, I think the priority for this game's long-term success at this point, they've introduced enough fucking weapons. The game mechanics are great. There's enough layering. The sandbox has enough toys in it. They just need to fucking give us some new sandboxes from here to there. So I hope that's the case. And there is a new Call of Duty coming later this year. But I'm just saying, in terms of my enjoyment of the game, this is the most excited I've been. And yeah, the event was not that great, but hopping in with this new shit, I'm having as much fun as I've ever had playing the game.
Yeah, no, don't get me wrong, this is an exciting time. And again, the map has been live has it been almost 5 hours now? So who knows how I'll feel, maybe 2 weeks from now. Maybe I'll be like, damn, there are a lot of changes. This is different. This changes everything. I can change my opinion. It's only been 5 hours, but the initial reaction was, damn it, they didn't fucking give us a new map.
So the Cowboy was let down. Tron was heartened.
And yes, the Cowboy would have thrived in a desert map. Thrived. Are you kidding me? Introduce some horses? I would have been out there lassoing bitches. It would have been great.
Okay, see, I'm just trying to get inside of the mind of a 10-Inch trying to understand really what he's looking for, get that information out there for the whole COD community,
Yeah, well, you'll never know what happens up here.
Let that little stone ripple, the waves will ripple through the pond here. But okay, so that was it for the map. They also added Summit, I guess integrated that old Black Ops OG map into now the dam area. Gotta give a shout out to the original Black Ops, dude. Arguably some of the best maps ever made. So I like seeing that shit. I think more of that's great. Keep swapping stuff in and out, whatever. Enough about the map though. The big news, in my opinion, the old Tron triangle balanced weapon enthusiast here been trashing on these Activision or whoever folks for weeks now about this game's gone out of whack, the TTK too quick, the guns too unbalanced, bullshit. Well, what happens? They released the patch notes. Season 3 goes live, and these patch notes are they're like an encyclopedia, man. So many pages of stuff. They put changes across the board, so just bear with me here. I'm going to break it down for you.
Do it.
Also citing here, got to give him credit, the exclusive Ace. I saw his initial testing video. So the highlights were for weapon tuning. The Cold War AK-47 they felt wasn't quite as viable as it should be, which your boy noted sullenly early on. Well, guess what? The AK Cold War got a buff on its recoil, and the old exclusive Ace checked it out. The old recoil pattern looked like the lightning bolt that hit Harry Potter's goddamn forehead. Used to go zigzagging up and down. Now they smoothed that out. So, if you're an AK AMAX fan out there, check that out. Big excitement for a guy like Tron here. Next up, though, the Pharah. They smoothed out that recoil pattern, but they kind of nerfed off the old damage. How do you feel about the Pharah? I know you've been a big enthusiast since Season 3 started, right?
Yeah, the Pharah actually has been a pretty viable weapon for me. It really doesn't have much recoil at all anymore. It really holds steady, which I really, really like. I also like the movement you have with it. One thing I'm trying to integrate more as I try to ascend out of amateur status is moving as I'm shooting. What I used to do is just stand in one spot, like a dumbass, and just shoot somebody, and then they just kill me so quickly. But if you can move left to right as you're shooting, obviously a moving target is harder to hit. The Pharah, I noticed you can move a lot quicker going left to right. So just a little tidbit there.
Interesting. Yeah, I've been seeing it. It seems like some of the big streamers, Dr. Disrespect himself, C-Lane are rocking it as like the short to mid-range sidearm there to pair with other weapons. And yeah, seeing it a lot. We'll see if it stays on. The other one that got touched, which everyone was excited to hear, was the FFAR. Finally, it appears, got a proper nerf. They changed the damage profile, but respectfully, they didn't make it useless. I ran it today, and you had told me yesterday when we played last night after the Patchment Live, you're like, the FFAR is still good, and I agree. It is still viable and competitive, but I don't think it's no longer overpowered.
Yeah, I played with it last night. I think it was the first, you go to your classic loadout right after the Season 3 gets released, and I mauled some motherfucker down with the FFAR, and it felt good. He had his back to me, so who would have, if he was facing me, maybe it would have been a different story, but it did. It worked pretty well.
Yeah, so if you're shooting people in the back that are completely unaware of your presence, do not worry if you have the FFAR. It can still take them down.
Yes.
That said, one of the most impressive things, incredible parts of these patch notes came with the news that they had preemptively nerfed the Groza because they had seen that. They looked at the damage profile, the time to kill, and they realized, hey, as soon as we nerf this FFAR, the next logical gun everyone's going to go to is the Groza. So what did they do? They nerf it. And to use their words, let me quote them. This change is more of a precaution. We expect in the absence of the FFAR that the Groza would rise to take its place. While there will always be a, quote, meta, we want the meta to exist in a TTK range that is a bit higher than what we are currently. In that regard, we believe the Groza was a bit of an outlier that, much like the FFAR, could have been detrimental to weapon diversity. Bringing the Groza down a notch should allow for some healthy competition in this weapon category.
When did they start saying shit like that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, these patch notes were a revelation for me. It was like, I don't know if they hired a new comms person, but the pillow has been flipped over here. Like, we're on the cold, cool side now. Something clicked here to where they're communicating with us. They're acknowledging these issues. Like, so many fucking pieces of this puzzle have fallen into place by reading these patch notes. Like, they've been aware of all of this shit going on. They've been hearing these discussions. They know exactly which guns are fucking better than which and not. And maybe it's a change in philosophy. Maybe it's a bullshit PR move to try and get some goodwill at the start of Season 3, which clearly has worked on me. But I just think hearing like this shit is incredibly heartening for a player like me.
Yeah, I don't know if they're slipping 20s in your back pocket or who you're talking to at Activision, but give the Cowboy a couple of bucks and I'll be on the they're doing great train. But it almost pisses me off that they're preemptively nerfing the Groza. Like, the FAR was destroying ass for like 3 months. Why didn't they preventively, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, maybe they hired somebody new. Maybe they're paying you off. I don't know.
I don't know, but there's more news on the horizon that I'm going to share with y'all listeners that it basically reiterates this, like, something, I don't know, man. Maybe it's a new approach. Maybe it's short term. Keeping my fingers crossed, but I love that. And I love that they are actively trying to make the weapon diversity better. We talked about the TTK has been creeping lower and lower in terms of its quicker and quicker deaths. And they said now they're trying to bring that down. So fucking salutes are due here from Tron, all right? That said, the old Krieg, which a lot of people wanted to be good, wanted to like, wasn't viable previously, has now been buffed. In the words of Exclusive Ace, he said it's looking promising for Season 3. They also had this gun, the QBZ, got a buff to its movement speed and its damage. So now Exclusive Ace basically saying if you're looking for like a high mobility AR, which you were talking about with that Pharah, maybe try the QBZ.
QBZ? I've never heard of that. Is that a new weapon?
It was a Cold War one. I think it's the blueprint that you get on ground loot, or you used to, was the Snow Patrol or whatever. It has like the curving, like banana clip.
Oh, yeah. I didn't like that gun.
Yeah, well, That's what he's throwing out there. It was changed. Again, we got massive changes here. They also, the MAC-10 got slightly nerfed for its damage to make its TTK just a little bit slower. So bringing that down to share with you all listeners, I've been rocking that though. Incredibly viable right now in terms of a short range weapon. So MAC-10, still a Mac daddy. And then the final two real changes were the Pellington got a slight buff to the ADS, but the big changes that we love to see is the Cold War burst weapons. They got nerfed. They raised the delay between shots, and the damage multiplier for the head and neck area was brought down, baby.
Yeah, so that's the AUG M16?
AUG M16. So the burst rifle's time in the sun has come and gone, it appears.
Thank God.
Yes, dark times look to be behind us. And then finally, they teased at the end of the patch notes. They said, and I quote, "We are keeping a close eye on the AMAX. No king rules forever." Because as we've said, the AMAX is the highest damage profile AR in the game. It is the Mac Daddy. It is the bucking Bronco, and you got to know how to ride it. In props, we've said it's well balanced. Well, might be getting nerfed, but right now still viable. So get it while you can.
I don't have the AMAX leveled. I'm probably not going to do it.
Still,
you
still haven't leveled the AMAX.
I thought you were going to say something after that, like still. No, you were saying still. No, I still haven't leveled the AMAX. It always scared me. You know that I'm not good with recoil, and this is the most recoil motherfucker of the bunch.
He's scared of it. All right, well, so you're not an AK guy then either.
Well, the AK looks to be a little bit more viable now after these patch notes, no?
Yes, but it's kind of the Cold War equivalent of the AMAX.
Oh, is it? Well,
it's got still some buck, baby.
All right, I'll try it. Maybe I'll try the AK-47. I mean, we should talk about our loadouts because I don't know where to go from here. You know, anyone that listens to this podcast knows that I'm all over the place. I thought I had found, maybe a new home with the FAR in the car, the FFAR in the car. As much as I love the car and I love sniping, I think I want to maybe move away from that, and I'm starting to consider what my new loadouts are going to be because obviously,
wow,
that's the big conversation now. Is okay, well, these new metas, what is going to be the new meta? How does that affect your loadout? I think the Pharah is something that I'm going to level up. I'm going to stick with the Pharah as a short range, and then today I put a Kilo in my loadout just to see what the Kilo was like again these days because I used to love the Kilo. But I think I'm going to play around with some ARs. I don't know if I'm going to stick with the car. I mean, I'm always going to have it in my back pocket if I feel like sniping some unlucky people. But I don't know. What are you thinking?
Wow, moving away from the old Car 98 just when he's getting settled with it. I was kind of cool being sniper bros with you lately when we'd run it on teams, Little Tron and Cowboy peeking through the windows with their little guns. You get down, I'll pick you up. I get down, we'll pick each other up. Not anymore.
No, I don't know what happened. You remember I went through that sensitivity changing phase?
You go through a lot of phases.
I go through a lot of phases, and unfortunately, I think that messed with I haven't been hitting my car shots as well as I used to. I don't have the confidence anymore. I don't know.
Wow. Well, confidence waning for the Cowboy, as the listener said last week. Get the fuck back on the horse, baby, because right now, this is what I am talking about with the Warzone weaponry. There is no clear meta. We even got, J God himself is out here being asked, what's the new meta? He doesn't even fucking know. Nobody knows. So go out there, experiment with shit. You got some guns, think about your playstyle, throw them on. Fucking kill some people with it. That said, they do have this new PPSH. It's kind of funny saying PP, but they got this PPSH as part of the battle pass. You unlock it at level 15. I got a feeling that's probably going to be the close range gun to get, so working towards that right now.
Yeah, what's that, a level 16 unlock on the battle pass?
15.
15, okay. Yeah, I'll be there soon.
That said, I think the AMAX is really going to be the mid to long range unquestioned meta until maybe they nerf it as they've teased. And then, we'll see what goes on for near range. We'll see if there's a new sniper to emerge. They do have another one as part of the battle pass. I don't know what level that's at. A little far away from my fucking future here.
Is it wait, you said the AMAX?
No, there's a new sniper or marksman rifle coming out in this battle pass.
Oh, I got that. I picked that up. What's it called? I just played with it actually right before we're recording this. I I picked it up in Summit when we were up there, and I was taking some shots with it. And I know this is going to sound like a classic amateur thing to say, but I swear I was hitting people with it, and it wasn't registering damage to them. I swear I was hitting them. I was right. They were right in my sights pulling the trigger, and I wasn't getting the damage. And I'm on an Ethernet cable, so I know my shit is quick. So I don't know what's going on. But it was with that gun. So maybe they have a couple of things they need to fix with that. I mean, also, no one's probably going to believe me because I'm an amateur and maybe I missed the shots, but I'm telling you, I didn't miss the shots.
Okay. Wow. Well, I looked it up. That is the Swiss. It is the Swiss K31 sniper rifle, a bolt action rifle with high damage and impressive speed. So I have a feeling like they're going to try and introduce these guns to kind of get people away from modern warfare guns. Like I feel like them buffing the AK is to try and lure people away from the AMAX. And then now maybe they're going to try and lure away from the car. They already have the Pellington, so maybe this other one will be a little bit more in line. But that said, like if you had given me a choice between Season 3 and you said Tron, you know, Morpheus, he had the glasses floating between his eyes. I don't know if you ever noticed that. They didn't have like the ear things. They were just floating.
Yeah, it's pretty badass.
Yeah. So he holds out two fucking hands for you, Tron, or in your case, Cowboy. And he says, look, Season fucking 3 is coming. I'm giving you two options here. You can either have a brand new, crazy cool map that's completely built from scratch, or we can completely balance all the weapons and make that shit as cool as it's ever been. What would you choose? If it's me, I'm taking the pill that's the weapons. So with that regard, I think that's really why I'm so excited about the game right now, is I feel like we've at that level of balance that I've been seeking. And every game I've played so far has been fucking cool. I haven't heard you on the mic like screaming like you were 2 weeks ago, like, God damn it, this game. So to me, that's an endorsement.
Oh, young grasshopper, let me teach you the ways. So the issue is that the balance of guns comes and goes, but maps are forever. And if we were to get a new map, it would change things for a very long time. This balance amongst the weapons that you love so much, it's as temporary as ice in the desert, baby. It's going away. So as much as you think you've found your zen, you've made it through wherever you think the afterlife is, and you are so content, this will be ripped out from underneath you, and you will fall straight on your face, and you will be looking down at the same map that we've had for over a year now.
Wow. Casting a looming cloud over my energy, dude. Really dampening. I don't know where you guys stand out there, fellow amateurs. We want to hear from you, though. How you feeling about all this? You hyped? You pissed? You in the middle?
Yeah, whose side are you taking? You taking the Cowboys or you taking Trons?
I don't know if it's about sides, but, check it out. That said, they also introduced, am I right, a new EMP drone? Is that a kill streak? Do you know anything about that?
So I was watching a streamer today. I was watching Dr. Disrespect, and he picked one up. And it was interesting. It looked like a little airplane. It was like a mini airplane. Pretty big mini airplane. And he picks it up, and it's just like it's an airstrike kind of thing, a kill streak, whatever you'd call it. And yeah, he basically, when you click it, you pull up like the RCXD map, where it does like the animation of you pulling up a controller. Well, so it does that. It pulls up a controller, and then you're flying this little plane. And then, or you choose where it goes, and it basically flies down, and it's like, it's an EMP thing that like disrupts somebody's shit, and then I think it might stun them as well, and then you can go in and destroy them. It's pretty cool, actually. I mean, it was pretty cool.
I'd imagine it takes out all of your HUD, so you don't know any of your ammo, your radar, any of that. I'll have to look into that. Don't have a definitive answer. Haven't experienced it. Didn't have a chance to research that. Final note, though, about changes. You said something like the gas is different.
I noticed when I did the map rebirth, then like the destruction of Verdansk Part 2, the gas was like a different shade of green during that. I don't know if anyone else noticed that, but it was like a more minty, evergreeny spearmint green as opposed to like a more of like a brownie baby diarrhea green.
Okay, well, that's got to make you happy because you're a little bitch about all the aesthetics, right?
Yes, I am. I do like a nice mint green. I mean, the greens are off the charts on this color palette. It's crazy.
Okay, he's into the palette. Cross that as a win there. But speaking of resurgence and rebirth, I actually was nerdy enough to watch. They had like a limited or, exclusive fucking Call of Duty talking about the new Season 3 is the way I'm going to title it. I'm sure they use something much more eloquent, but basically, one thing they revealed that was really cool to hear is that they're going to be bringing the Resurgence game mode to the Verdansk 84 map. So how do you feel about that?
Well, I think that's live right now. I think I saw a Resurgence Trios on Verdansk.
On Verdansk?
Yeah, it's on. It's active right now. We should play it after this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's active right now.
Well, okay. So then it's live. That's cool. I think that's cool. I like the Resurgence mechanic. We're into that.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have, they kind of handcuff us with the playlists to have like basically 3 different options of gameplay amongst 2 different maps. Usually it's 3 or 4, but I would love for them to have like multiple. They have the Resurgence vibe on Verdansk. That's also happening on Rebirth. They're mixing, and I don't know what's going to happen with Rebirth. I'm assuming because of the skin change last night, they're going to bring that back, and it'll just be the same Verdansk 1984 and Rebirth with a new skin. I think that's probably what's going to happen. But I would love to have both of those. And I think it's a great idea to have Resurgence on Verdansk as well.
Yeah, well, I'm predicting in terms of, the amateur flow of play is, we give it a try in the Verdansk 84 Warzone. You get your ass kicked. Oh, you just hop on over to Verdansk Resurgence. Oh, you're still getting your ass kicked? Well, just kind of hop on over to Rebirth. It's like you start on the Black Diamond Hill, you fucking break both legs on your way down, then you heal up, then you're going to try the, not the regular diamond one. I don't know what it's called. You fucking sprain your spine on that. So then you go over to the old Bunny Hill, right?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of skiing adventures you've been on, but sure, yeah, that seems about right.
Well, that brings us on. We talked about early weeks ago that this live action trailer, an early cut of it leaked. Turns out that was really a real trailer, and a lot of that shit was final. And we saw the full one released today, and I mean, you've heard me stay positive. Well, I can't help but saying that commercial they released today for Season 3 of Warzone is perhaps one of the worst fucking commercials I've ever seen.
I haven't seen it. What happens? Tell me about it.
You didn't watch it? Well, like, my first thought is like, okay, this commercial spans over, I think, a minute. And so it's like, it's a little narrative story. Like, okay, maybe don't tell me a complete 3-act story. That's fine. It's commercial. But there should be some sort of through line. Like, you see a really good Nike commercial or whatever commercial, like they have some sort of thing that's connecting them. This thing was just an amalgamation of insanity. They threw all these like celebrities in it. They have fucking Mookie Betts of the Los Angeles Dodgers hitting a dinger, except the ball is a grenade and the bat is a rifle. Like, that's what we're having in this commercial. And so it was just really confusing to me. People were really into it because I guess, I don't know, you just got to throw music and celebrities and be like, oh, it's sick. But fucking hire us.
I'll have to give that a look. I missed that, but if it's Mookie Betts is hitting a grenade with a rifle, that sounds pretty killer.
Well, final salute to Season 2 of Black Ops, because I know I shit on it in the meta, but your boy kind of took advantage of that. Final game I played in Season 2 on Rebirth Island at night, I got 11 kills.
That's a lot of kills. You're bumping out double digits. You're not really an amateur anymore, man.
I don't know, but it was I felt powerful. And you know what the lesson I learned from it is that I need to ADS more. Like, as I was creeping through areas, instead of looking with my eyes, it's like, might as well have your little gun up and look through your crosshairs so that when you see someone, you shoot them. So that's the old Tron lesson.
Yeah, I've seen really good players. They do that. That's not something I do. Maybe I should do that. It makes sense.
Well, speaking of really good players, you also had a banner moment this week before Season 3 went live. Not quite an 11 kill type of thing, but let's share it with our listeners, baby.
I did. This was, okay. So just to give everyone a little backstory here, it's like we do this podcast. We don't it's not like we are not also streaming. We're not paying to have them read shit to advertise the podcast. we just do this podcast, and it's out there, and
It's guerrilla marketing.
It's guerrilla marketing. I mean, we're not spending any money or anything like that. It is what it is, and on advertising at least. So I was playing. It was 2 nights ago, I think, and I was playing with a couple of guys. Tron was not on, unfortunately, but I was playing with 3 of our buddies. I get killed in the sky. I got bought back, killed out of the air instantly. Because another thing that I don't know if we've talked about this, but before all these changes, when you would get bought back on Verdansk, you would drop like alarmingly low. You would spawn back above the buy really, really low. So I spawned back. I'm instantly killed by somebody. And one of the guys that I was playing with, who's familiar with the game and is a really good player himself, his name's Paul, goes, "Holy shit, I think you just got killed by Huskers. I think that was Huskers that just killed you." And I had heard the name Huskers. Huskers, for those of you that don't know, is a very large streamer. He's got, I don't know how many, but he's a big streamer, one of the bigger streamers out there, and he's really good at the game. The fact that I was even in a lobby with his team is beyond me. Like, it's like not fair at all. So whatever, I get killed, and I spectate his cam. There was only like 10 or 12 people left at that point. So it was towards the end of the game. And I'm watching him play, and he's shredding. The guy's really good. Like, such another level of player. It's like
we're playing in fucking slow motion in a pool with a fucking astronaut outfit on, and he's outside the pool just running double speed, right?
Yeah, dude, it'd be like if, your average Joe at a golf course goes and plays around with Tiger Woods, It's like, whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. We don't need to, whatever. So, yeah, whatever. I watched him. He's shredding. They end up winning the game, right? So they're like, and I'm spectating him. So there's, I don't know what it's called. You probably know, but it's like the end of the game end of the game chat lobby or whatever it is. There's a name for it, I think, but whatever. So when it goes over the stats at the end, the people that are left in that viewing area can speak to each other. And since I was viewing Huskers, I knew I was going to be in this little mini lobby with him and the other pros he was playing with. So I made an epic, legendary call out to the Warzone Amateur Hour podcast, told anybody that's not as good as Huskers to come listen to us. And of course, that sparked a really funny conversation between some of the other guys that were playing with Huskers. They called him a bitch, said he sucked. They kind of got into like some
friendly banter.
And it was great. And so the Warzone Amateur Hour's name lived on to one of the biggest streamers in the world. And for that, it was very exciting. It was very, very jazzed that night. Guerrilla marketing at its finest.
Big call out, biggest exposure we've had. Thanks to the Cowboy getting his ass kicked in the Warzone. You got to feel like that's fitting for the Warzone Amateur Hour. But that's going to do it for us on this bonus episode this week. Thanks so much for dropping into the Warzone Amateur Hour. We talked about guerrilla marketing. Well, the best way you can support us is by subscribing, liking, and sharing the podcast with your buddies. Get it out there. I know we had one listener who shared it with a friends group on Facebook and got banned. Well, don't let that deter you. Stay strong. Fuck the Sweat Lord haters out there. We're going into season 3 with our fucking swords in the air, baby. Who's with me? Warzone Amateur Hour lives on. I'm a hype. Dropping back in. That's going to do it for us. Until next week.
Good luck in the new gulag. Dude, you need to take a breath. You've been talking so much.
We didn't even talk about the new gulag, so join us next time. We'll talk to you on Monday, mother.
Later.